to get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
Well, with the Wicks here on this glorious, yet again, another beautiful Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Damn near fucking ate shit trying to sit in this chair. A little close to the wall, but hey, we live for those moments that we never know are going to happen. Today is officially the third day, the final day in which teams have to get under the set cap space that the NFL has set. I believe at the last week, basically $208 million. Every team has to be below that. Actually, well, they had to be below that 3 hours ago. So a lot of people have been released. A lot of people have been cut, obviously. A lot of people have also been signed. New faces and new places. That is exactly what this 3-day period really entails. Obviously, there's going to be more moves to come within the coming weeks and months. Lots of moves have already been made. The Jacksonville Jaguars yet again nail a couple of key pieces to their franchise. The Buffalo Bills just moments ago made massive signings for their organization. Can't wait to see what direction they're headed in. We'll dive into that. Zadarius Smith on the move, in which we kind of all knew that was going to be the case because the Packers didn't have the money. They have to figure out the Devontae Adams situation. Rasul Douglas situation still is getting worked out. Who knows where he's going? We'll also dive into that shortly later. Overtime rules might be changed as well. The Eagles, the Titans, and the Colts have all proposed different rule changes. Two of them are on the same page, as one of them is not. We'll dive into that basically to start the show right off the bat. But yet the Colts still haven't made any moves or any noise except for one. Okay, we'll get to that as well in just a moment. So are you ready to get your fix? Well, these couple days have been absolutely bonkers. Moves after moves, releases after releases, signings after signings, new faces in new places. I'm excited about it. Have been nonstop working to get all these deals basically hammered out so we can talk about them specifically. Some of them I have chosen, obviously, not to talk about because I see those or view those as not as important as the ones we've dived into at least the past 2 days and now officially today. First off, let's start with the overtime rules. So we all know what the overtime rules kind of entail. Look, you get the coin toss. Whoever wins the coin toss, usually, if you're not stupid, okay, you're going to say, yeah, I'd like the ball. Because if you get the ball and you score a touchdown, game, set, match. It's over and done with. The other offense does not get a chance to step on the field. We've seen that with the Chiefs and the Bills game this postseason. Josh Allen was unable to take step on the football field to potentially help his team or lead his team to another victory. But the Chiefs ended up scoring. So there was a lot of questions on what the hell are we doing with the overtime rules. I hate ties in the NFL because overtime also says, all right, so if you go down the field, you don't make a touchdown, but you kick a field goal. The other team has the same opportunity to do as well. They can score a touchdown to win the ball game, or they can kick a field goal to tie it, and then you keep going until the end of regulation or until the next team scores. If nobody scores, it ends in a tie. I say enough of that bullshit. I don't like ties. It's so dumb. I mean, it's like, oh well, hey, we got a match made in heaven here in the boxing world. We got Tyson Fury versus fucking Deontay Wilder, for instance. What happens if that ends in a draw? You know what people are going to be pissed that bet on that game? Fans of either of the fighters, how pissed they're going to be? It just doesn't make any sense. Why would we have ties in any single sport that exists? All right, I'm so sick and tired of seeing ties. So overtime rules have kind of been in fluctuation. A lot of teams are, they're making some noise. We need to change something about these rules. Just needs to happen. So the Colts and the Eagles and the Titans have each proposed their own rule change. The Colts and the Eagles are on the same page of what they want to do, the Titans on their own side. So these are the 2022 club rules change proposals. Now, this obviously happens here within the next couple weeks and the month ahead of us, where basically teams have a chance to come together and kind of announce a new rule that they would like change for the upcoming season. It is then voted on. I think you need a 2/3 vote for it to pass. If it doesn't get the 2/3 vote, which is like 24 of the 32 teams in the NFL, it doesn't happen. That rule does not get changed. But 3 of the NFL teams say, hey, overtime needs to be fixed. We need to change something about it. So the Colts and the Eagles have proposed that the overtime allows both teams an opportunity to possess the ball. So, an example of that, Chiefs-Bills. Chiefs go out, they score a touchdown. Well, that also now means if this rule were to get put in place, the Bills would have a chance to step on the field and give or have an opportunity to score a touchdown as well, tie the game, and keep going. The Titans have proposed a pretty similar rule, but with a little twist. So the Titans have proposed that you allow both teams an opportunity to possess the ball in overtime unless the team with the first possession scores a touchdown and a successful 2-point try. So, just like the overtime rules now, except if you score a touchdown on your opening drive and you go for 2 and you get the 2-point conversion, game, set, match. It's over. But if you go for 2, you don't get the 2-point conversion, the other team has a chance to step on the field and tie the ball game, and then we keep going on from there. I like these rules just simply because, hey, look, ties. We don't need no more ties in the NFL, let alone any sport in that matter, okay? We have to figure it out. So these rule changes, I like them both. Whatever one gets put in place, I'm all game for. Whether it's both teams get a chance to step on the field, touchdown or not, or if the first team gets a chance to score a touchdown and they score a 2-point conversion, it's game over. And if they don't, the other team gets a chance. I'm all for it either way. I think it would add a little bit more excitement to the game. It would create less ties in the game, I believe, because that gives both offenses a chance. Who has the better defense that can stop the opposing offense from scoring? I'm all for it. I'm glad they decided to go and try to make a change. Now, obviously, they're probably not the only teams that are thinking the exact same thing. Maybe other rules will be trying to put in place or proposed to the NFL or the NFLPA to kind of change this. We'll see what happens within the next couple weeks. Other than that, let's get to some other football news, okay? Lots of cuts, lots of signing, a lot of where is Deshaun Watson going? He met with the Saints, he met with the Panthers, he met with the Cleveland Browns, and today he's meeting with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, in order for Deshaun Watson to meet with these teams had to have a package trade deal in order to basically interview Deshaun Watson. They had to send the Houston Texans their trade proposal, what they would be giving them if said trade were to happen to get Deshaun Watson on their organization, on their team. And if the Houston Texans agreed to that, they said, okay, yeah, sounds good, you can go have a meeting with them. So 4 teams, all of them have made a pretty strong push for Deshaun Watson. The Cleveland Browns was kind of an interesting one, as well as the Atlanta Falcons. But the Atlanta Falcons one I get because he's from Georgia. That's his home state. He would love to play there. He actually reached out to them personally. They didn't reach out to him. He reached out to them. But the Browns is a very interesting situation because we talked about it all day yesterday, or at least a little bit yesterday, where I said this automatically tells you that the Browns do not believe in Baker Mayfield 100%. And I was right. Okay, multiple reports after that actually happened, or actually I said that came out and said this shows right here how the Cleveland Browns just don't believe in Baker Mayfield 100%. They might move on. So that led to ultimately Baker Mayfield, who has been silent through this whole thing, knowing that Deshaun Watson is a real possibility of coming to Cleveland, which means Baker might be on his way out. So he goes on social media, on his notes section, he writes out a lengthy little thank you, if you will, to Cleveland. This is how it goes. He says, with many uncertainties, here is where my head and my heart is. Cleveland. The past 4 years have been nothing short of truly life-changing since I heard my name called in the draft to go to Cleveland. This is not a message with hitting meeting. This is strictly to thank the city of Cleveland for embracing my family and me. We have made many memories and shared growing in this process through all the ups and downs. I have no clue what happens next, which is the meaning behind the silence I have had during the duration of this process. I have had the duration of this process, or I can only control what I can, which is trusting in God's plan throughout this process. I have given this franchise everything I have. That is something I've always done at every stage and at every level. And that will not change wherever I take my next snap. Whatever happens, I just want to say thank you to the fans who truly embraced who I am and the mentality that aligns so well with this city's hardworking people. Cleveland will always be a part of Emily and my story, and we will always be thankful for the impact it has had and will have in our lives. Sincerely, Baker Reagan Mayfield. Tears me up a little bit, thinking about it. Not really. But why would he do such a thing? He isn't quite traded yet. Yes, the Cleveland Browns are not 100% sold on the fact that Baker Mayfield just might be their franchise quarterback in the future. Obviously, the first 3 years of his career haven't been amazing by any means, but he has progressively gotten better. He's made them, or he got them a playoff appearance. Last year was kind of like, whoops, we could have done better, but it is what it is. I was dealing with torn labrum. I was dealing with all these other injuries that I wasn't at or performing at 100%. Could have been a lot better. They didn't offer him a contract extension. That was the ongoing concern for Cleveland Browns fans, for Baker Mayfield. Where's my contract extension? I believe I'm one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I think otherwise. That's just my opinion. I could name a lot of quarterbacks that I would rather have than Baker Mayfield, but I understand why Cleveland Browns fans might be a little upset. Some of them, not all of them. Because this guy is literally giving it his all. He brought you to the playoffs, in which before was, well, really non-existent. It never happened. Okay, I think there was that jersey that we've all seen scouring the internet when there was like that fucking number one, and then they had the list of quarterbacks, and they actually went off of the jersey, probably back down to like here, right? It could fucking all the way down. Nobody was able to bring Cleveland Browns to a good football city, a playoff caliber city, except for Baker Mayfield. Now that obviously could be due to the fact that they have Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they had Jarvis Landry, who they ended up releasing, Odell Beckham Jr., they traded to the Rams, Rashard Higgins, he's now on the move. They've had a pretty solid defense up this point. They could use some help. But what this tells me right here, with him kind of saying, hey, I love Cleveland, this is where my heart is, this is where my head is, and if things don't go that way, and they decide to trade me or let me go, then hey, I just want to say thank you before it happens. I think he believes it already happened. I think he understands the fact that he might not be a Cleveland Brown next season. And that's a real possibility. Baker Mayfield has already been linked to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, obviously, that might not happen. That might not be true. But you have to think for a second. They're interviewing Deshaun Watson, which doesn't really mean much. It's just you're looking at a franchise quarterback, a very good quarterback. They have not decided to give Baker Mayfield a contract extension yet, even though he did lead them to a playoff victory just a year ago, or 2 years ago, not counting last season, obviously. Well, Odell Beckham Jr., he left because he wasn't getting the ball thrown to him, which, hey, listen, catch the fucking ball, okay? That is his own fault. Hey, there's multiple times where I was watching Cleveland Browns games and he got the ball passed to him. Easy catches that he should have definitely had, and he dropped them. Okay, he ran himself out of Cleveland, so we can't talk about that. Jarvis Landry performed amazing for him, but got nothing in return. Baker Mayfield is an okay quarterback. Is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I don't think so. I think he has the potential to lead his team there. I don't think he has the potential to win a Super Bowl. Now, I could be wrong. I could, literally just be shut my mouth as soon as that could possibly happen next season. But I'm not sold on the fact that Baker Mayfield is the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And now I see a lot of Cleveland Browns fans are pissed at the fact that they're even interviewing Deshaun Watson because of his civil cases and his criminal cases, because they don't want to, conform to what he has done and what he might have done. And I understand that. But give it a rest. Give it a rest. And I'm not saying, put aside what he might have done or what he has done or, whatever the case is. Because that is some serious shit. That is some serious allegations that he is facing. And if he did that, he's a complete scumbag. So I understand that you might not want to cheer for him. But if he brings your team success, you don't necessarily have to cheer for him. You can cheer for your team. You can cheer for other players on your team. It just helps that he is a top 10, top 15 quarterback in the National Football League. Baker isn't. Can name a lot more that are top 15 above him. We won't get that far because we got other news in the NFL, and I think it's, I should bring it up. So not only did Frank Gore once pull a reversal on his contract way back when, where he decided to sign with one team and he said, yeah, not going to happen, I'm going back to the other team. Anthony Barr did the same thing when he signed with the Jets. He said, nope, I'm going back to the Minnesota Vikings. Just the other day, 2 days ago, actually, Randy Gregory, defensive end of the Dallas Cowboys, signed his 5-year, $70 million contract with the Cowboys, except there was some fuckery in the contract, and he looked at it and he said, nope, I'm going to the Denver Broncos. So he did old flipperoo. Let's add one more to the mix. J.D. McKissic has changed his mind and may change it again. So J.D. McKissic obviously went down and he said, I'm going to go sign with, who the fuck was the other team? Well, he decided to go sign with some other team, and then he's like, yeah, you know what, that ain't going to happen. Oh, he signed with the Bills. He looked at the contract, said, nope, I'd rather stay in Washington where I have a house. That's where my family is. I would not want to move. I would not want to pick up and have to relocate. Washington Commanders actually matched that deal. J.D. McKissic stays a Commander, but he might want to switch again, and here's why. The Buffalo Bills have made some massive moves lately. Just actually about a half hour to an hour ago, they decided we could use some help defensively. Let's give old Von Miller a ring. So they give Von Miller a ring and said, hey, would you like to be a Buffalo Bill? Von Miller replies, hell yeah, brother. So he goes and he gets a massive contract from the Buffalo Bills. Von Miller officially on the move. It was thought that he might go back to the Denver Broncos or he might remain a Los Angeles Ram. It just had to deal with what contract was he going to get and where was that going to possibly be. The Buffalo Bills strike first, land Von Miller on a pretty big contract. They give Von Miller a 6-year contract with for $120 million. Okay, so he got paid about $20 million a year, basically, somewhere around that realm of possibility. So he gets a massive payday, but not only does Von Miller end up with the Buffalo Bills, who are ready to win a Super Bowl, have been for the past couple of years, but the Chiefs and the Bengals have been just right in their way, okay? They also find a way to land former Buccaneers tight end O.J. Howard. And I like this move. I really, really do. Even though they have Dawson Knox, who actually performed exceptionally well the second half of the season, was a very good fantasy football player for a lot of teams, including myself at one point. But they needed some extra firepower to help out that offense, who can already score in the blink of an eye, but sometimes we have seen that, hey, they hit a rough patch every now and then, okay? They don't have the ability that the Chiefs do to go out there and score at will. We've seen the Bills kind of score it here and there, have a good try, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, what do we do? It's because they don't have a run game. So I think picking up these tight or picking up O.J. Howard kind of tells you we need some extra blocking help. We need help up front so that we can open up the run game, give Devin Singletary a fucking chance so we don't have to run the ball with Josh Allen every single fucking play or pass the ball every single play. So they lock up Von Miller, massive signing, okay, and then tight end O.J. Howard. Along with some other news, the Lions have officially released Trey Flowers. We talked about that not too long ago. The Jacksonville Jaguars have been making some massive moves as of late. We've talked about it. They spent over $100-some million in the first day of the legal tampering period, and they've only continued to make more and more news. They actually, they went out and signed wide receiver Christian Kirk a 4-year, $72 million. Guard Brandon Schreff, 3 years, $49.5 million. Linebacker Foye Oluokun, 3 years, $45 million. D-tackle Foley Fatukasi, 3 years, $30 million. Wide receiver Zay Jones, 3 years, $24 million. Tight end Evan Ingram, 1 year, $9 million. And they officially add former Rams cornerback, defensive back, DB, CB, whatever you want to call him, Darius Williams to a 3-year, $30 million contract with $18 million guaranteed. The Jags are out making some moves, but that ain't the last of them. They also decide, we could, that is wrong. That is the last of them up to this point. I read this completely wrong. Well, they released their linebacker Miles Jack just the other day, yesterday to be exact. He is officially signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 2-year, $16 million deal. That is big news out of football. Massive more news that are happening around the league. Saints, they lose Marcus Williams in free agency. He ends up with the Ravens, I believe. Who, by the way, have landed former Packers pass rusher Zadarius Smith on a 4-year, $35 million deal with a max of making $50 million with incentives. So $35 million, that's what he signed. He can make up to $15 million, which is $15 more million in incentives, whether that's, getting sacks or a certain amount of sacks, making a Pro Bowl, making a Super Bowl, making the playoffs, all these incentives he could get to make him a $50 million player. So big move out of them. But the Saints, since they released Marcus Williams, he went to the Ravens. Darius Smith went to the Ravens. The Saints really needed a new safety. What were they going to do? Well, they go out and they land former Jet safety Marcus May to a 3-year, $28.5 million contract, $15 million guaranteed. He's a pretty good safety in the NFL. Probably one of the best Jets players that was on their organization. Not anymore. He's a Saint. The Saints were were over the cap with the most amount of money. They needed to come down. Now I think they're officially under. They're ready to rock and roll with their new team. Obviously, more signings will be on their way. More cuts, more releases, more trades, whatever the hell is the case. Draft is coming up. So their team is looking new. They still need a quarterback over there in their organization. They are in talks with Deshaun Watson as well as the Carolina Panthers, and Falcons, and the Cleveland Browns. But I wouldn't expect the Saints to land Watson. I'd probably expect the Panthers, the Browns, or the Falcons. The Falcons just because that is his home state. The Browns, on the other hand, like we just talked about, they end up landing former Bears wide receiver Jakeem Grant on a 3-year, $13.8 million deal. Now, he's not really a great wide receiver by any means. He didn't get that many chances in Chicago, but he's a great returner. He had 740 yards returning last season. He had 3 total touchdowns, 2 of which were on the offensive side of things, 1 of which was being a returner. So he has a return touchdown. The Browns get a pretty big pickup here, I would say, because their special teams Even though they're good, they could be better. And now they get another weapon to potentially pair with either Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson or whoever else decides to walk over to Cleveland. The Browns also decide to make a pretty decent move. Hey, they franchised David Njoku not too long ago, their tight end. Well, what does that mean for Harrison Bryant and Austin Hooper? Well, for Harrison Bryant, he's good for now. For Austin Hooper, well, he is now a free agent. The Cleveland Browns have decided to release Austin Hooper, who, by the way, is a pretty solid tight end. Whoever wants to go pick him up is going to get a very, very good tight end in the National Football League. Cannot wait to see where he goes. Probably not the Jacksonville Jaguars, if I had to guess. The New York Jets, the New York Giants are a couple potential possibilities. The Dallas Cowboys could be in the mix. There's multiple teams out there that could use a high-caliber tight end like Austin Hooper, but the Browns decided, yep, we don't need you anymore. Washington don't quite know what they're doing over in their organization. They land Commander Carson. Okay, Carson Wentz, he got traded from the Indianapolis Colts to their organization to potentially make them better. Well, defensively, they've made some kind of question marks. They released Landon Collins. And now they release Matt Ioannidis. I wish I could say his last name. It is weird. I think it's like Ioannidis or something like that, but it's not. It's Ioannidis. Ioannidis. There we go. Look at me. All right. It's probably not right, but we'll figure it out. Just gotta sound it out, and you'll get the word most likely correct. But Washington, what are we doing? You had a good defense just not too long ago. Yeah, you're trying to work on your offense, trying to make your offense better, but keep that defense what it is. I mean, Jonathan Allen and Chase Young are good. Are they good enough to win you ball games? Kendall Fuller is still on the backside of things. They need help at the cornerback position on the other side. They need safety help. I think they'll find it. But what are they doing? I think they're just clearing cap space to help out defensively or help get better pieces defensively. They got the draft coming up as well, so interesting move from them. Seattle the other day, obviously, trades Russell Wilson, who just had his welcoming parade or his welcoming speech with the Denver Broncos. They trade Russell Wilson to them. Then 6 to 7 hours later, they decide, all right, Bobby Wagner, see you fucking later. They cut Bobby Wagner. Now they are without a linebacker, a middle linebacker. So what do the Seattle Seahawks do? They go out and they land former Chargers linebacker Uchenna Nwosu on a 2-year, $20 million contract with 10.5 of that guaranteed, so they fill in that gap that they once had not too long ago. So good for them. In other news as well, that has to deal with the Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll has said and come out and said that, hey, we've liked Drew Lock since he was in the draft. We've loved him. We wanted him on our organization. We just had Russell Wilson. So what do you want me to do? We're not going to go draft a quarterback when we got fucking Russell Wilson. Okay, it's just not going to happen. But we loved Drew Lock when he was in the draft. Yeah, I'm sure you did, Pete. I'm sure you did. Because now there's reports coming out that Pete Carroll also has said that Colin Kaepernick has reached out to him. Give me a fucking break. Dude's going to go out there and look worse than Cam Newton did on the Carolina Panthers. I'm just telling you, that's exactly how it's going to go. And if it goes the other way, I'll zip my lip and I'll be a man and admit that I was wrong. But I can guarantee you, Cam Newton is a way better quarterback, and he doesn't get to play that much because he's garbage. Colin Kaepernick hasn't played in fucking 5 to 6 years, so good luck, buddy. But he says Colin Kaepernick has, contacted him recently. Carroll says he deserves a second chance, but says he doesn't know if that's in Seattle. Just notes that it's second chance time in the NFL. Well, okay. Every single fucking year, I'm done with this Colin Kaepernick shit. Every year we're here. The same goddamn week, right before the draft, not too long before the draft anyways, where Colin Kaepernick comes out and says, I'm ready to play. And then we have multiple sources, multiple teams saying, yeah, he deserves a second chance. He does. He definitely does. Just not on my team. Somewhere else, he can go and have his chance. But he does deserve a second chance. Hang it up, buddy. Hang it up. What do you want me to say? Just hang it up. I'm sick of hearing it. You had your chance. It ended poorly. I understand that whole situation. But you're done. Okay, you haven't played in however long. No team wants to pick you up because that automatically brings a story along with it. That brings distractions, and that leads to losing ball games. And with a quarterback that hasn't played in 5 to 6 or to 7 years, sorry about it. Think your time's up. So, enough on that situation because I've had it with the whole Colin Kaepernick issue because there's multiple quarterbacks that are even better than him, including Baker Mayfield. At this point in time, Baker Mayfield is miles, better than Colin Kaepernick in my opinion. My opinion, Other people could think differently, but that is just what I currently believe. On other news, Jeff Gladney, once drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, and I was kind of pissed about it because I wanted a wide receiver at the 14th overall pick. We go with Jeff Gladney, and I said multiple times, this guy ain't gonna pan out. He's not that great. He's an okay corner. I just don't think he's gonna. I just don't think he's gonna be a superstar cornerback in the NFL. Just not what I believe. Had multiple people say, "You really don't like Jeff Gladney? You really don't like him?" And I'm like, "No, he's not a first-round corner. He's a second-round corner. Why do we take him with a 14th overall pick? I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Justin Jefferson's going to be way better than Jeff Gladney is, period." Well, guess what happens? He went to court and got cut by the Minnesota Vikings because he allegedly assaulted a woman. All right, well, there's red flag. But it has come out today, and actually a week ago, that Jeff Gladney was proven innocent. So it says, at My Sports Update, or Ari Mirov on Twitter says, former Vikings 2020 first-round cornerback Jeff Gladney is signing with the Arizona Cardinals, per at Schultz report. Gladney was recently found not guilty by a jury after being indicted last year on a charge of assaulting a woman. Minnesota released him at the time. Now he's back in the league. So good luck, T's and P's to him. I don't care because he's not my guy anymore. I'm glad he's not in Minnesota because I would have to live with that for the rest of my life. But why'd we draft him in the first place in first fucking round? I mean, we just had to pay him a lot of fucking money for no reason. I mean, that, way to go, Minnesota. We're fuck. We have a history of doing that shit. I mean, we drafted Christian fucking Ponder. What are we doing? Could have had J.J. Watt in that draft, but we're like, hey, CP7 down at Florida State, he's our guy. No, he's not. Jeez Louise. We need better scouts down there, okay? Let me fucking draft them. I'm not saying I do good. I'm not saying I do bad either. I knew I went to pick fucking Christian Ponder. But I do know I probably would have went with Johnny Manziel instead of Teddy B. So that one probably would have been very bad. That is on me. But after seeing what Teddy B is doing, I would have definitely went with him, even though at the time probably would have went the opposite way. So, well, that's for another time. Chandler Jones, though, was once on the Arizona Cardinals. Not anymore. He hits the free agent market after having he wasn't happy in Arizona. He wasn't happy with the amount of money he was getting paid, being that J.J. Watt got a massive contract from them. He said, I ain't doing it no more. I'm out of here unless you want to pay me my money. So he hits the free agent market. Where is he going? It takes a couple days. Well, today, officially, it has been announced that Chandler Jones is heading to the Las Vegas Raiders on a 3-year, $51 million deal. That division, woo! It's going to be exciting. The Chiefs, we know what the Chiefs are going to do, okay? They're almost on a contract, or almost, on agreement with a contract for Tyreek Hill, a massive deal coming his way. They got Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we've dived into this the last couple days, okay? We know what the Chiefs are, all right? The Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson, new quarterback in town, okay? Now they potentially might land Bobby Wagner, being that Von Miller went to the fucking Buffalo Bills. Who knows? That team's ready to rock and roll. The Los Angeles Chargers making massive moves, getting Khalil Mack to pair with Joey Bosa defensively. They got Derwin James at their safety. They got J.C. Jackson in free agency as their corner. Now their offense is stacked. Mike Williams got an extension. Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. How you doing? Keep it moving. Now the Raiders are looking to make some fucking moves. They get Chandler Jones on their defense. Derek Carr still on their offense. Got to get a wide receiver, and I think they'll find one in this year's draft. But they still have Josh Jacobs, who's a workhorse in the backfield. I think he'll be just fine, as well as Kenyon Drake. Their tight end, Darren Waller. Okay. This division, be ready, folks. Be ready to fucking click. Fucking be ready to enjoy the ride, because it's going to be very fun. Somebody today at work, actually my boss today at work, shout out Brandon, he said, it wouldn't surprise me if all 4 of those teams make the playoffs. And he ain't wrong. It would not surprise me at all. Would not surprise me in the least. I mean, honestly, these 4 teams are more than capable of playing in a playoff spot, especially with that new 7th spot in the playoffs. But obviously that means one division is only going to have 1 team potentially make the playoffs. So, GG's out there, basically. Good for him. But with that being said, with Chandler Jones going to the Las Vegas Raiders, what are they going to do to kind of clear up space, cap space, to get him in the building? Well, they decided to trade Yannick Ngakoue to the Indianapolis Colts. Unsure of the details of the trade at this point. Just know the Indianapolis Colts have finally made a fucking move. They need a quarterback in a big way. They need another wide receiver, being that T.Y. Hilton is a free agent. There's plenty out there. They have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, so they got some moves to make. The most cap space in the National Football League, and they haven't done anything, but they have traded for Yannick Ngakoue. So congratulations to him. He was once a Raven, then a Minnesota Viking, and then a Las Vegas Raider, and now an Indianapolis Colt. Congratulations to him for bouncing around the NFL. I think he was also a Jacksonville Jaguar. That's on me. But yeah, lots of moves have been made today. Rasul Douglas was an interesting one. I think this is a guy that all Packers fans would love to keep on their organization. What are we going to do with Rasul Douglas? Because he had to step up in a massive way. Jareer Alexander hurt all year. Okay, Eric Stokes played pretty solid. But who's going to be on our other side? Who's going to be that next guy? Well, they go sign a guy off the Arizona Cardinals practice squad. Name was Rasul Douglas. Who the fuck is this guy? Well, now you know. Now you know who Rasul Douglas is. Multiple interceptions last year. I believe he had 1 or 2 for a touchdown. This man was a ball hawk, just a football genius, had a high IQ, and made that Packers organization and fan base fall in love with him, including guest host on Friday Football Talk Y4, or John, whatever you like to call him. They wanted to keep Rasul Douglas, and it seems as if multiple teams are interested in him, but Rasul kind of wants to stay home. I think that was the report, and it seems as if the Green Bay Packers and Rasul Douglas are constantly working on getting a deal done to potentially keep him around in Green Bay. That might not be the case, obviously, with all the the Devontae Adams situation and all that kind of nonsense. So hopefully they get a deal done. I think Rasul Douglas fits very, very well with the Green Bay Packers. With Rasul Douglas, Jareer Alexander, and Eric Stokes, they'd have a very, very good defensive back room. Who knows how the rest of their organization will look with the D tackles and the safeties. But offensively, they're great. Aaron Rodgers is back. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch the Green Bay Packers, even though I'm a Vikings fan. But NFC North, looking like it might go the opposite way. Probably the most shocking news actually today, though, was the Tennessee Titans. Not for signing a player, but for releasing a player. So if you guys remember, not too long ago, actually last year, this is at my sports update at Ari Mirov, said the Titans traded a 2022 second-round pick and a 2023 fourth-round pick to the Falcons for Julio Jones. He ended up playing 10 regular season games, recording 31 receptions for 434 yards and only 1 touchdown. Because he doesn't score touchdowns. I've said that multiple times on the show. Atlanta got an extra second-round pick to offer in a potential Deshaun Watson trade. Well, that was kind of weird. We'll see what happens right there. But the Titans have released wide receiver Julio Jones. Another massive wide receiver, superstar wide receiver hits the market. Who knows where he ends up? The Indianapolis Colts need a weapon. Las Vegas Raiders need a weapon. The Carolina Panthers might need a weapon. The New England Patriots might need a weapon. And I'd expect him maybe to go to New England. Or, here's a sleeper team, the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson. I think that would be a very fun fit. Or, even better, the Baltimore fucking Ravens. Give him to Baltimore, okay? Send him to fucking Baltimore. Give him a chance to succeed in the league, be the number one receiver yet again in his career. I think that would be a pretty good fit. But only time will tell, but they released Julio Jones. Don't know why they did it, other than clearing cap space and potentially trying to bring in some other assets. Maybe get Ryan Tannehill out of the building. Maybe bring in Deshaun Watson in a very weird way, even though they haven't had an interview with him or anything like that. So, keep that in mind. Julio Jones is on the market. And last but not least, with Deshaun Watson potentially meeting with the Browns, the Saints, the Panthers, and today, the Atlanta Falcons, which is his hometown, he personally reached out to them and said, I would like to have a talk to potentially be your next franchise quarterback. Well, Jarvis Landry is also meeting with the Atlanta Falcons in a potential, how you doing, Deshaun? Let's go to Atlanta. Let's set up this team real nice. Because remember, we talked about this not too long ago about the receivers that are currently on the Atlanta Falcons roster. Olamide Zaccheaus, Frank Darby, Christian Blake, Chad Hansen, Austin Trammell, Braden Lennius. Who are they? Okay, you kind of get my drift. They need a wide receiver. Bad. Very, very bad. Jarvis Landry just might be one of them, especially if a potential Deshaun Watson trade is in play. So watch out for that in the coming days. So with that being said, obviously this is day 3 of holy fucking hell. The NFL is heating up, and I cannot believe it. No, I'm just kidding. I can't believe it, but I'm excited about it. I've been busy, been cracking down what's happening, what ain't happening, who's free, and who's not. New faces and new places. That is what this whole week is about. So with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. We'll be back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time because I'm assuming more news and more updates will continuously be happening throughout the night and in the morning until tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time when we will have our next show. So until that time, go enjoy this beautiful weather that we have got outside. It is amazing out. I'm pumped for it. We'll see you tomorrow. And you just got your fix with a Wicks. Deuces, folks.